PR story. Well, let's announce a new name so no one's talking about Darius.
Well, that was a bad joke. It went over my head.
Yeah, he fooled you. See, I'm on Eitan's level there. He was doing a little like joking troll, being like, "Oh, watch them put out their name now. No one will talk about Darius. Guys, we'll be talking about the new name."
That was awesome. And thank you, Jake Asman. Look at that guy standing up for me, and he said even I'm on his level. Jake Asman is on the second level.
Hey.
What's up? Sorry,
What's happening? Oh, that's all right.
I've been holding it for a while.
Shander, weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.
No, sometimes sometimes you just need to stand up and walk around a little bit.
Yes, that's true too.
Get some blood flowing through the legs.
No,
I'm not out running a
What do you
World
have
War
in that
Z
studio?
zombie.
I'm the guy you.
Keys and,
I have Jake.
well,
Do I need much more than that?
I guess you have live.
Why are
entertainment.
you bringing me?
To be fair.
Be careful, you're on a hot mic.
Well, I'm always on a
Uncle
hot mic.
Culver, weekday mornings from
Stream is
7 to
live
9
as we
Eastern.
speak.
Yeah, I guess
Do you
don't
have
drop.
that by any chance? Edited, I assume.
What's that?
Do you have the Brenneman thing edited by any chance?
We just have the apology. I don't think we're gonna play the other one.
No. Okay.
No.
Ford motor. Yeah, I'm doing like all kinds of.
Even if it's edited, Jake's in here.
What did he say? I didn't hear him.
He said hot mic.
Yeah, man. Look,
14
when you're
chickens
live
that
on the
they walk
stream, we don't
around
turn
all
the
day,
stream
and they're
off during
eating
commercials. What do you think this
It's amazing.
is?
Chickens roll.
Yeah. Well, we did.
The
Jake.
fan?
Jake, I learned something from Jake today because I've never heard it. He learned it too. That in the industry is called a hard F.
A hot mic
The Brenneman word.
that he used,
Yeah.
What do you
That is called a hard F.
as opposed to a soft F.
Yeah. Well, I guess a soft F is an F bomb.
Where is this data coming from?
I don't know. I'm just passing
Jake
on the
just
info.
wake up and thought, I'm going to screw with these guys today.
No. I saw an article where someone referred to it.
But where, on Medium.com or something?
No, I think it was Barstool actually.
Okay, well, what were they saying? That this is called a hard F?
They said the word to use the hard F. I'm like, I've heard that word for years. No one's ever referred to it as a hard F before.
No, I've heard it used as like a cigarette in London. I've heard
That's the only place you can say it safely.
Well, technically, it's also by definition a bundle
Map
of
Radio
sticks,
Network.
right?
I think so.
That's true. Yeah, I believe so.
With is wearing a mask.
Look,
but
the
not
history
all
of
for the same
language
comfort
is
and
always
protection. I recommend
something
the
is
Boomer
used
Naturals
one
three
way,
layer, comfortable,
and
breathable
then
mask in
it's
hand
taken
with
by
nano-silver
somebody
technology.
in the
Nano-silver can
extreme,
block
and
those
then
tiny
that
drops
word
of
is no longer
particles
being
from
able to
getting-
use.
Right. Well, I mean, if you just want to look at it, just all you need to do is watch George Carlin's explanation of the word fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
It could be good, it could be bad, it could be pleasurable, it could be painful, it could be. I mean, that whole comedy skit is priceless.
Yeah, he is amazing.
At CDW,
He might be
we
the
get the
smartest
migrating
comedian
your
ever.
business to a hyper.
Yeah.
I mean, towards the
Because-
end, it wasn't.
No, because he was
right?
smart enough. Like Tony and I actually did talk about this because we were talking about Dennis Miller, how his
Yeah.
comedy was too smart for Monday Night Football crowd.
Yes.
But George Carlin would have been fine because he was smart enough to know to dumb it down to where everyone would get it
Right.
and still come away sounding really smart.
Right.
LTech.
That's very true. And he would do that with that's what they want, like changing his pitch.
This is a Gal Media property.
Boy, how the hell did we get into
Jacob Media.
Tom Brenneman.
It was
Hey, Tabby Brenneman. Dog, Jake?
Jake left.
Oh, he had enough.
Jake gone.
Conclusions.
He had enough, huh?
smart thinking. Well,
Yeah.
I'm doing laundry right now as we speak.
on the
Watch
Sports
the stream
Map
and see
Radio
the
Network,
multitasking.
a show where we go beyond.
I hope you have the Maytag guys in the background.
No, I don't trust anybody down here. This is
No,
my
you
own-
should. You should have the Maytag guys on your green.
Oh, on
screen.
my green screen? It's not bad.
Here's Eitan Shander.
Yeah, here we are, a Thursday edition of the program, and we've got some live action to talk about. The PGA playoffs are underway. Boy, I guess, well, two things. One, you kind of have a set of morals and principles to not use the term in which Tom Brenneman used, and we'll talk about that coming up in a couple of minutes. You'll hear the apology as well. But also, beyond the obvious bigotry, like beyond the obvious bigoted term that Tom Brenneman used, the homophobic slur as it's being described, that Tom Brenneman used, because I don't want to talk about a hot mic and everything without getting the opposite or the obvious part of me out, which is you shouldn't be saying that in private, let alone in public. Now, I'm not in your home. This is not 1984. This isn't a George Orwell thing. But the reality is that you probably shouldn't be saying that in private anyway. And there is a sense of morals and decency, and I think ethics that any natural human being here should follow, which is if you're out in public and you have a platform, you have to recognize that there isn't anything that is truly private. And that speaks to the hot mic. Now, we're live on Twitch right now, twitch.tv/Shander Show. We've been live for the past 7 minutes. So anybody who's been listening and watching has heard me talk to Ron Culver about Dennis Miller and George Carlin, heard Jake Asman pop in and say a couple of things about a term that was used to describe the term that Tom Brenneman used. So we are always on a hot mic. And I feel like a lot of people who have streamed and have got into the streaming world, even if it's as simple, and I know Jake and you guys stream, and we all have the ability to stream this show now live, which is great because you should be seeing us as we talk. We don't turn it off. And that's the benefit we don't turn this thing off. Right now, we're going to break for 3 minutes. Guess what? This thing's going to be live. We're going to still be live. We can talk to you out there in the audience. You'll hear a conversation with Ron and I. And you know what? Maybe it's just a perfect balance of having the basic sense of human decency with also knowing that there are people out there listening to you all the time. How comfortable with your coworkers are you to where you could just blurt something like that out?
Speak a new language, but thought it would be too difficult? Then try Babbel. Babbel starts by teaching you words and phrases that...
I think that's the biggest problem, right?
What, how comfortable he was?
Well, I mean, the argument I was standing like where I was talking to Tony about it was, this wasn't his first time. No. Because if this was your first time saying it and you happen to get caught, that's just the worst luck on planet Earth.
Yep.
So...
No, but I mean, like, you're now...
I need something a little softer than
that. And I don't
that.
want to compare it
With the Sleep Number 360 smart bed, you can both adjust your comfort with your Sleep Number settings.
Can it really help me fall asleep faster?
Okay.
Yes, by gently warming your feet.
Okay, but can it help keep us asleep?
It senses your
You've been
movements
caught
and
doing
automatically adjusts
something,
to
and
keep
it's
you
really
effortlessly
difficult
comfortable.
for
Sleep
us to
Number,
believe
proven
that
quality
this is the
sleep
first
is
time
life-changing sleep.
that you've
It's our
done
biggest
something,
sale of the
right?
year.
I mean,
Where
you
all
apply
beds
that
are
to
on sale.
crime,
Save
physical crime all
50%
the
on the
time.
Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed, only for a limited.
I didn't even think his apology was that sincere. I think his apology was like, I'm going to get fired. I better say something.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything you need to start the year right.
From notebooks to sanitizer,
we can talk about
laptops
this
to
too when
masks.
we come
And
back.
all at amazing prices. This week, select one subject notebooks and Staples 2-pocket paper folders are just 10 cents each.
Select notebooks and folders for a dime. That really is amazing.
Plus, you can shop in store or pick
no,
up curbside.
I think that
School on, save on.
that's
It's
dead
Staples.
on.
NZ22
That did
in
not
store
sound
only.
like a man
Limit
who
6
thought he
while
could
supplies
save his
last.
job with an
Curbside
apology.
available in most stores.
Over 2.5 million airline passengers
Not to me, at
fly
least.
every day in the United States. Those passengers depend on reliable airplanes, and those planes need certified aircraft technicians. That's where you come in. We are the Aviation Institute of Maintenance, and we train tomorrow's technicians. We train our students hands-on with real aircraft, develop their skills, and prepare them for real jobs in the industry. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports the average aircraft technician
Dude, so
in the
I
United States
completely, we're
makes
trying
over
to get pregnant here
$62,000 a
and
year.
stuff. So
The job opportunity
I
is
had to
there.
stop
The money is
smoking.
there.
If you want to work with your
probably
hands,
my lungs
perfect place for
thank
you.
me for that as well.
800
And
876
the biggest thing is I
0097.
can't sleep. Like
I'm
that
very
was the
impressed with
easiest
any
thing. Is,
curriculum.
you
The school's keeping
rip
pace with the
something and you
demands of the
pass out,
industry.
and you wake up and you can start your day. That's
At the
the
Aviation
biggest
Institute of
change for me.
Maintenance, we train tomorrow's technicians.
Appetite's fine,
800
energy's fine, head's
0097.
working, everything
800
like that. But I just I cannot.
0097.
One of the big changes we're all
So I'm gonna
dealing
get
with is
addicted to
wearing a
Tylenol
mask,
PM.
but not all offer the same comfort and protection. I recommend the Boomer Naturals 3-layer comfortable
It's a good switch up.
with nano silver
Yeah,
technology. Nano silver can block those
I
tiny
tried
drops and
these,
particles from getting to
so
your nose
in
and mouth.
PA,
They also
I have
offer
a
nano
medical
silver
card, but
neck
in PA, you
gaiters,
can't
available
legally
in
buy
sizes for
edibles. Like, you
adults
can't
and
buy a
children,
pack
and are
of
in stock
edibles.
now and shipped
What
to
they
you
have
fast.
instead is
Order now at
they have
boomernaturals.com.
this
Use the
oil,
promo
Rick
code
Smith
Tony
or
and save
something, oil, Rick
20%.
Scott or
That's
something,
code
or they
Tony
have
at
these pills. That's
boomernaturals.com.
basically the concentrate in a pill. But they take like 2 hours to settle in.
At the Sports Map Radio Network, we wear Boomer Naturals masks. Order now at boomernaturals.com. Use promo code SportsMapRadio.
Yes, don't forget. I'll remind you. Yeah.
After John. Wait, I don't know when John.
Need to figure that one out.
Scratching beneath the surface. It's the second level on the SportsMap Radio Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage.
From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
Well, we've got a couple of things going on right now as we speak. The big story in sports, of course, the reaction to Tom Brenneman's ridiculous homophobic slur that was on the air. It doesn't even matter the context of it. It's just how in the world that somebody could say something like that in the broadcast setting. Now, hot mic or not, you are always around people. And I used to go down and cover the Phillies years ago for maybe like 2 stations ago. So as a younger kid with the opportunity to be in the press box, I'd always try and venture in, especially when I started working for the flagship station itself and would engineer a couple of games back in the studio. I would try and go down all the time and just peek in, say hi to the play-by-play guy, Scott Fransky, the color commentator, and Larry Anderson, and talk to these, I'm just a kid. I'm a 25, 26-year-old kid who at the time has not been jaded by this business. That's Jake Asman right now. Jake's too young to be jaded by this business. Give it 5 or 6 years, maybe 12 months at this point. But I was back then just a kid in the candy store. So I would go into the broadcast booth as much as possible and, peek in there. And it's every single time there is some discussion or something going on, and you can just tell that people are still on. The mic may not be hot, but there's 4 or 5 people in that room. So let's first listen to the apology from Tom Brenneman, and correct me if I'm wrong, but as you listen to this apology, this does not sound like a human being who believes that they can save their job with an apology. It sounds like somebody who knows their ass is cooked, and it's just a matter of time before the water starts boiling. This is Brenneman. We're not going to play you the slur itself. You don't need to hear that. What we will play you, though, and you can hear it here, is Brenneman's apology following everybody realizing what he said, and Brenneman himself realizing that this went out not on a closed mic, but on a hot mic.
I made a comment earlier tonight that I guess went out over the air that I am deeply ashamed of. If I have hurt anyone out there, I can't tell you how much I say from the bottom of my heart. I'm so very, very sorry. I pride myself and think of myself as a man of faith. As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run.
I can't help but laugh. I'm sorry. What?
And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game. I don't know if I'm going to be putting on this headset again. I don't know if it's going to be for the Reds. I don't know if it's going to be for my bosses at Fox. I'm going to apologize for the people who signed my paycheck, for the Reds, for Fox Sports Ohio, for the people I work with, for anybody that I've offended here tonight. I can't begin to tell you how deeply sorry I am. That is not who I am and never has been. And I'd like to think maybe I could have some people that could back that up. I am very, very sorry, and I beg for your forgiveness. Jim Day will take you the rest of the way home.
Look, I think what really kills it for me is that he took the time to call a home run ball. There are times and places for everything that happens to human beings on this planet, man. You can justify and go back and try and pull something and say, no, that was good. That there was a reason for it. When nobody listening to Tom Brenneman's apology needed to hear that home run. And that's what really took this whole thing away from me, is he wasn't even focused. He wasn't even giving 100% focus to the apology. He still tried to, quote, do his job by calling that home run ball. It takes away so much of the begging and pleading of some sort of remorse and then acceptance of that remorse. Now, I don't know if you believe that that's not Tom Brenneman and all the other things and adjectives he used to describe himself, but it's very difficult for me to believe that is the first time that slur ever came out of Tom Brennaman's mouth, to the point in which, think about this, how comfortable, and I'm not trying to indict anybody else in the room by any means. I don't even know who else is in the room outside of the color guy. But how comfortable do you need to be in that specific environment to where as soon as the mic goes off, you start blurting stuff like that out? And it's not about creating a hierarchy on which term is worse. Well, if you said this or said that, I mean, Twitter is just the worst place to go for stuff like this, because you get nonsense that nobody would ever actually say in real life, but it's easier to just tweet. But I don't know how somebody can be so comfortable in that situation, drop the slur in which he did casually in the way in which Tom Brennaman expressed it, and expect us to believe that's not him. That's not something he says. That's not a word that comes out of his mouth. At the very least, here's where we're at. At the very least, Tom Brennaman felt comfortable in a work environment to use that slur, and most likely other things that would be construed, not misconstrued, but taken as over the top, crossing the line. Now, again, I'm not going to specifically put words in Tom Brennaman's mouth, but I don't think we have to at this point. I think what we have is a very realistic scenario of somebody's comfort level. That was the big thing for me. Right away, our buddy on Twitter technically, at Shander Show, twitch.tv/Shander Show on Twitch, bipolar legend. I'm really sorry that I offended ... Here's a drive. It's amazing. Can we isolate that? Is there a way that we can isolate that where he's just about like halfway through the apology and then gives the home run call and then maybe like a word or two when he comes back to it?
Oh, do you mean something like this?
I made a comment earlier tonight that I guess went out over the air that I am deeply ashamed of. If I have hurt anyone out there, I can't tell you how much I say from the bottom of my heart. I'm so very, very sorry. I pride myself and think of myself as a man of faith.
You can hear the ball.
As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run. And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game.
Is it wrong?
I don't know if I'm going to be putting on this headset again.
Like, think about it. I would never, ever in my life fathom being in a position where I would condone or even support Tom Brennaman now. Never in my life. But can I still separate that and be just offended with the repugnant term that Brennaman used and laugh at the comedy in his apology? Like, you understand that out there, right? You understand. I don't want somebody weighing in on Twitch now. Or you're laughing at this thing. No, I'm laughing at how absurd Tom Brennaman's apology was, where he had to pause it to call a home run ball. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this ever. I don't think we've ever seen somebody get on, issue an apology, and then in the middle of it do something completely different. Like somebody's sitting down at a press conference and has a mic or 10 in front of them and is about to issue a major apology, and all of a sudden just, hold on a second, let me just respond to this text real quick. Or, you get a phone call. Oh, okay, it's my roofing people. They said they'd be here in a couple of minutes. Just give me a second. All right, don't worry about it. I've got the door open in the back. Somebody's here with a key. You can go in. If you need to get up on a ladder, that's fine. Just use the back side of the house. As I was saying, I am deeply, deeply sorry for anybody that was offended by my words. You know what? Here's another call right quick. Let me just send it right to voicemail.
Well, that's why I was saying to you earlier before the show, I feel like this apology was more of, I'm going to try to do everything I can to save my job.
So you think that it was a job-saving apology?
No. It's not a job-saving apology at all.
No, but you thought
I'm thinking that's what his intention was. I don't know if he's very remorseful or upset for, saying homophobic. Just because we know that this isn't the first time. It can't be the first time he said. He said it so casually with no effort.
Yes, and he's talking to somebody. The slur, it's not like he was just sitting there thinking out loud. He's having a conversation with somebody. That's how crazy it is. Okay, Ron, I think I misunderstood.
By the way, real quick, if you have access to a computer, you need to watch our man right now on Twitch.
Me?
I'm sorry. Yes, you.
Why?
You're folding clothes while you're doing the show. This is fantastic. This is great radio.
Well, it's great Twitch right here.
Great Twitch.
It's great
this
visuals.
This is the full purpose of Twitch. Just make sure that, you keep it clean.
Well, absolutely.
Just stick to the shirts, stick to the pants.
Nothing.
We don't need to see any of the unmentionables.
That's fine. I usually do those under the screen here, so you could see my hand, and then this.
Well, that itself could pose a problem.
What, me moving my hands around under the screen?
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to jump to any rash conclusions here.
If all of a sudden you're just folding clothes, like I'm folding clothes, like, oh, is that what we're calling it now?
That's
Great.
Exactly right. It's a new euphemism. We're folding clothes. No. Boy, that would be something that would be sick and low. Like you would have to go. That's like a Stern thing, wouldn't it be? I mean, I'm trying to think of somebody who could get away doing that. The only person who could really get away doing that would be Howard Stern, right? I don't know if there's anybody on the planet that would be able to get away with that. You think Chris Russo could get away with that?
No.
Laundry. No. Nobody in their right mind. I couldn't go viral for the wrong reason. Like Brenneman out there. Jeez. I did this once where we were doing this when I was doing the overnight here on Sports Map Radio years ago. I did it a couple of times where I was on Twitch, right, having the show live on Twitch. But instead of just being me and seeing me, I would be up in the top corner and I would play a video game. So I would play 18 or 36 holes on the golf game while doing the show. It's a little harder when you're more involved in stuff, but golf, it's easy. You can just power through it. So what would you be more impressed with? Me doing my laundry while doing this talk show here, or me twitching a video game while doing the talk show?
Well, if you're playing a video game, I just feel that's disrespectful. Feels like the video game's more important than us.
No. I'm not going full Brenneman here.
I'm just thinking that the video game, you care about your video game more than you care about us.
No, here's the thing. It was a visual.
We'd have to get your attention somehow.
No, it was. You're missing the point. It was a visual. It was to reward the people who were in there. And it's funny is I got a bunch of people because when you do a game, like you live Twitch a game or you live stream a game, like on PlayStation, that's what I have, PlayStation. It sends it out across the PlayStation community as well as to the people that are following you. So if anybody's searching for that video game, then they'll find a stream and they may jump on. And I would have people constantly jump in and out being like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, what is going on? What do you mean? I don't care about the Giants or anything like this. So talk about this game. So I never placated those people, Ron Culver, okay? It was always first and foremost about my duty to the talk show. At no point did I ever waver from that duty, all right? I promise you that. You're not impressed with the laundry, huh?
No, I'm extremely impressed with the laundry.
Well, all I have is socks now, so I don't even fold those. I don't do anything with the fold.
Yeah. No, I was, multitasking at its finest. I was fantastic.
Well, I'm worried about my dryer.
I was trying to drive people to come watch you and say, hey, look,
I got a nice little bump. Thank you. I got a nice little bump from that. I appreciate that. All right, we'll come back. The return of Tony, Jake, or Eitan at 11:40. I have never been more embarrassed to admit that I am a fan of a specific sports team. And I will do that, and I will try and explain how difficult it is to root for this one professional sports team. It's all here at Shander Show, twitch.tv/Shander Show. Ron's on Twitter, at Ron Culver, 2 N's. It's the second level on Sports Map Radio.
Wake up call! Can I tell you a little funny blurb from my radio travels?
Of course.
When I was in Colorado Springs, it was one of those years where the West was just killing everybody, whereas the East, losing records, were getting like 6 seeds. So Benjamin Hockman, who worked...
Oh, I know. I just saw it. I'm like, oh, man, you got to check this out.
That was
just seeing you.
Hilarious.
I mean, you're talking, you're folding. You're talking, and you're folding.
It was hilarious.
And he says, this is kind of like a Halley's Comet type of year.
This is great.
It's my line. But here's where it gets even trickier. Carl agrees to it.
That's right.
McMullen is 12.
Press conference like a day later.
Okay.
This is kind of like a Halley's Comet year in the Western Conference where 50 games will get you in. No one is going to believe me that was my line. That's my line. That's not his. That's not Ben Hockman's line. That's my line they're using.
Wake up call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings from 7 to 9 Eastern.
The Jake Asman Show.
In no world is Lamar Jackson a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. I love Lamar. Did he deserve to win the MVP last year? Obviously. But if you ask any NFL executive who would they rather have right now, Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson, the executive that tells you Lamar Jackson is being paid a large sum of money by someone that really loves Lamar Jackson.
The Jake Asman Show, weekday mornings from 9 to 11 Eastern.
The Jake Asman Show.
The $5 footlong at Subway remains the biggest lie in our society. Someone needs to hold Subway accountable. I'm tired of it. The $5 footlong has never been $5. It never will be $5. It's a scandal that needs to be covered. A politician should run a campaign on railing against the $5 footlong platform. If I'm going to run to be an elected official, I'm running on the platform that the Subway $5 footlong will actually be $5. I am going to change society for the better because I am sick and tired of all the lies. There's a lot of lies in our country right now. You know, we're all at each other's throats politically. I think one thing we all could agree on is that the $5 footlong at Subway is a farce. It's a hoax. It's not real. It's a figment of your imagination. If you're going to Subway expecting to get a $5 footlong, you're part of the problem.
The Jake Asman Show, weekday mornings from 9 to 11 Eastern.
Pharrell.
Is Saturday pro football not better than sex? If the NFL played Saturdays and Sundays, I wouldn't even talk to my wife ever, even though she's smoking hot and I love her. I mean, if there's football on Saturday and Sunday, pro football to bet on, I mean, it's junk food city and betting on football all day. Give me Saturday football. Screw college football.
Pharrell Coast to Coast with Scott Pharrell, weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern.
You're listening to The Second Level on the SportsMap Radio Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage, home loans that fit your life. Rocket can.
From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios with way more than the scores. Here's Eitan Shander.
All right, coming up in 10 minutes, I'll explain why it's becoming more and more difficult to go public with my fandom for a specific sports team. Spoiler alert, it's a team here in Philadelphia. My goodness. And it's not the baseball team, and it's not the football team, and it's not the hockey team. Unbelievable. All right. Now, this is a pre-COVID question, but it's the first of four. I'll be ambitious and try and sneak these in here for you. Tony, Jake, or Eitan. Ron Culver works with all three of us.
So I gotta put my pre-COVID hat on.
You do.
I wasn't even working with you guys pre-COVID.
No,
well,
but,
Tony, I was, but
now you know at least enough about us to determine who would be this. So the question is, Tony, Jake, or Eitan, who touches everyone excessively for no reason? And what I mean by that is, you know, when you're talking to someone, hand on the shoulder, you know what I mean? Like
hand on the back,
yeah,
like smacking you on the back.
Exactly. Like, all right, man, I'll see you later. Like constantly needs this.
Kind of my father-in-law.
Is that who does that?
Yeah.
Now, are you pro or anti?
When he does, I don't care. I don't even mind. But he does. Like when he's in a conversation and a story gets good, and there's laughter. He does do the hand on the shoulder thing.
Okay.
You know,
which
he just puts it on there, and it's just like no. It's endearing. It's his quality. You know.
It's amazing, isn't it, though? Like, you know exactly what immediately to that person because we all have at least one person like that in our life. I mean, and it's always a man, right?
It is. I mean, as much as you'd want it to be a woman, I think women they don't touch other people. I've never seen a woman do it to another woman.
Like, oh yeah, that's right, and like constantly because they're just smarter. I think that's really it. Like we just do stupid stuff, man. Like, I don't need to be touching you all over the place while we're having a conversation. All right, so who's that? Who's that
myself?
Person? Easy enough. You folding laundry?
Yeah, I'm folding laundry.
Created a new euphemism on the show. Amazing.
It's fantastic, by the way. I don't see. Man, first of all, I mean, I haven't met you in person. I haven't met Tony in person. Amazingly
I've met
enough.
Tony in person.
I know you two have met each other in person.
He does not seem that way.
Here's the thing. All three of you guys have met each other in person.
That's true.
You know, the only person I've met in person is Jake. So I mean, for me, it's hard to see because I don't really know hand gestures.
Well, you see
So-
me gesticulate all the time on
Well,
Twitch.
but I've seen, I just saw you fold laundry.
The softer side of me. All right. So this is a
So
tough one.
it's a tough one just because I just based on voice alone, I would probably lean towards you.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's a fair one. I've been guilty of it at times. All right. But it's always people I know and people that I know well.
Yeah.
And I think
just
that's
don't,
it.
you know what I mean? But even with the people you know, except for the wife, you don't need to grab the knee.
You're right.
Or that one spot just above the knee that just, nobody likes.
Right.
That one I've seen that one portrayed in movies or TV shows. I have never seen that one live.
Okay, fair enough.
Except when I've done it to my wife.
Exactly. Now, how'd that go over?
Same time always. It's like, what do you think? I only did it once and learned? Come on.
No,
I'm not that obedient of a dog.
Absolutely not. I wouldn't expect anything less. All right, Tony Jake Araton, who gets convinced strangers are celebrities? I just saw Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
First instinct was to say Jake, and I might still say Jake if it's outside the sports world. But I think it would be hard pressed to convince somebody to Jake that this guy is an athlete.
No, I can tell you that Jake knows who everybody is.
Yeah.
And like Radio Row, you could go up to Jake and be like, "Who's that? Who's that?" And he'll tell you. Oh, this is fill in the blank.
Yeah.
So from sports. Now, what about from?
But if you were to take him, say, to Comic-Con,
correct,
right, and just go, "Oh my God, that's Mila Jovovich dressed as I can't even remember what her name was in The Fifth Element, but that's that's her right there." Just grabbing some random person. I think I could convince him that that's her.
Yeah, I think so.
You don't
think
on the
you could
same
do that
token,
with Tony?
On the same token, I think I could do that with Tony. I don't think I could do that with you. I think you're smart enough to know if someone is BSing you.
Yeah,
or
well,
not.
here's the thing, though. I don't necessarily think I'm smart enough. To be fair to you, I don't think I'm smart enough. I just don't believe stuff.
Yeah,
like you would have to physically introduce me to somebody as.
And you bring
Mila.
up a good point where I would lean away from Tony because Tony, I think it takes a lot to convince Tony about anything.
Okay, well then we're similar in that regard.
Yeah,
because I don't believe anything until I'm eating it. Forget smelling it.
Right.
All right, who goes missing within 15 minutes of going out? Like you're all out in a crew, and then you look around 15 minutes into it, and you don't see that person for the rest of the night.
That'd probably be Tony.
You didn't even hesitate.
I didn't hesitate on that one.
Why?
Well, Jake would be too scared to leave the group, to go off and venture on his own. Unless it's a sports setting, then he's off doing his own thing, and we actually are looking for him. I think you wander away and come back. I know this from experience. Again, I have not met you face to face,
right?
But I know this from experience about you, just having worked with you in so many Radio Rows on this side of how many times you've gone away and come back. And the show has started, and I'm still playing music saying, I know he'll be back.
I do come back. You're right. I'm that dog that runs away for 3 hours, but always comes back.
But I think Tony might wander off, and it would be an okay situation. He might wander off and then get separated from the group. We would eventually find him and run into him, but it probably would take a phone call.
Okay.
To say, just like, hey, where are you guys? Because I'm over here. And then we would say, we're over here. Okay, I'll stay right there. I'll meet you.
Right.
I think that would happen.
Okay, that's fair. All right, last one here. Who is actively preparing for the end of the world? Tony Jake Araton.
Well, as much as Tony and I talk about it, I got to go Tony.
You guys.
I have a like an end of the world scenario every single day, whether it was, and to a certain point, you too, because I always bring the end of the world stuff up with you as well.
True.
Whether it's an asteroid that is the size of a Tesla that nobody
but
saw.
I'm not preparing. I'm just talking about it.
Maybe you are. We don't know. You got a bunker?
No, I don't. I will. Okay.
You should get one.
I will. I tell you this when we get back. I will tell you what I do have, and it came from this whole COVID thing. You won't believe it. I have to thank my mom for it. I'll also tell you while I'm embarrassed right now to talk about even rooting for a professional sports team. Unbelievable. Coming up next.
It's Cole's Friends and Family.
Oh, that's
sale.
amazing.
Take an extra.
Hey, real quick, I have the final call if you want it.
Of the Sixers game? Yeah, perfect.
$39 and get up to 50% off Croft and Barrel bed sheets. Plus, save on your back to school purchase.
Should
Plus,
we do that
fast
first
free
and then
store
go
pickup.
back to this?
And get
Yeah.
Okay.
cash.
Yeah, get your Sixers rant out of the way.
Got it.
20%
Because I know you're cooking.
Oh my God.
TS10. Some exclusions apply.
They're in it to win it. I'm telling you, man.
Supports America's entrepreneurs
To
during
win what?
It's almost as if they think that if they tank in the playoffs, they'll have a better draft lottery spot. Is that accurate to say?
Yeah, I
Call
think that they're
877 Ask
stupid enough
Dell to
believe
talk
that.
to a Dell Technologies advisor who can help you find the tech that's just right. That's
Right? Oh, you're listening to Racism Sucks.
Yeah,
that's a hot tune.
This guy actually has some
School
pretty.
goes on.
And
Like, he's got
Staples
some
has
pretty
everything you need to
good
start the year right.
Yeah.
Who is this
Laptops
guy?
to map.
No idea. Ice-T liked them.
Subject notebooks.
Ice-T retweeted the video, so I mean that's something, right? Probably the highlight of this guy's year.
That really is amazing.
Plus, you can shop in store or pick up curbside. School on, save on at Staples.
God, I can't watch
NZ22, in-store only, limit 6, while supplies last. Curbside available in most stores.
How much money would you like to save just by doing something you're already doing? How about 40%? With Allstate, safe drivers can save 40% just by doing something they're already doing. Driving safe. That's right, 40% just by driving safe. Visit Allstate.com or call a local agent for a quote today and see just how much you can save when you drive safe with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Savings vary based on DriveWise and other safe driving discounts. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
You're going on a trip, but where are you going to stay? How much will it cost? Well, it'll cost less by booking on besthotelrates.com. BestHotelRates.com works with all the top hotels in the country while delivering you great hotel and room choices for the best prices. Why wait? Go to BestHotelRates.com, enter your email address, and start shopping for your next hotel room. BestHotelRates.com, it's in the name. BestHotelRates.com.
From muscle pain, body aches to strains, Blue Emu Maximum Arthritis. It works fast, and you won't stink. Its unique formula with emu oil penetrates deep to relieve arthritis
Got a good
pain,
tweet. You see
sore
this?
muscles, joints, and more. Blue Emu Maximum Arthritis. It works fast, and
man.
you won't stink.
That's really funny.
Find Blue Emu at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, and other chains, or visit blue-emu.com.
Kane is in the building.
All right, so I'm going to bounce back
Okay.
with the final call.
Who do I credit? TNT?
Sure.
Okay.
I think so.
Dealing with the root of the issues. It's the second level on the SportsMap Radio Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage.
Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios. Here's Eitan Shander.
Tonight it was all Celtics. And all of Boston has to be feeling good about where this team sits. They'll take a commanding 2-0 lead in the series. They get 33 from the superstar Jason Tatum, 22 from Kemba Walker, 20 from Jaylen Brown, as they just put it on the Sixers here in Game 2.
You know what's wild is as you hear that final call, and I don't know if you saw that viral pic or video of Joel Embiid, the Sixers center, with his hands covering his face like he was just, he had enough. It almost looked like he was crying at that point. It is an absolute disgrace what has happened to this Philadelphia 76ers team. And it's not just this year. It's not just the head coach and Brett Brown, who will be fired after this year. It's not just Elton Brand, who was rushed into this job and should be fired at the end of this year. It's not the Tobias Harris contract that is a major albatross for paying him a max level deal just to secure his services. It's not just bringing in Al Horford, who is a cooked veteran that Boston knew to move on from and instead replace him with the veteran presence of Kemba Walker. It's not even all of that. It starts, this is a rotten core that starts at the top. I've never been a part of a team in which I've been embarrassed. Look, Chip Kelly coached the Philadelphia Eagles for 2 2/3 seasons, 3/4 of a season. Chip Kelly, the guy set the game back in the NFL 15 years with his offense. It was brutal. It was awful. But still, there was a sense of fandom that existed to where people reluctantly, but still would express, I root for the Eagles. I can't even tell you right now that with confidence that I'm still on board with this Sixers team until they make some drastic changes. You see what happened, and let me bring you back a little history lesson. There was a guy, Sam Hinkie, who was hired as the general manager. Sam found a way to game the system. He found a way to tank with enough job security, mind you, that he could continue to try and be at the top of the draft and amass as much assets as possible. He also made, and this is not discussed enough, he also made some pretty savvy trades until people realized, unless you're Vlade Divac, you probably shouldn't be making a deal with Sam Hinkie because you're going to get ripped off. Vlade just didn't know any better at the time. What happened was offensive, insulting, and should never have gone down. The NBA stepped in and thought the tanking was too much. The NBA stepped in and bullied Sixers ownership into making a change. And then of all people, the NBA selected who the next general manager would be in Brian Colangelo, a man who was unfit for the job and eventually run out of this city after it was found out that his wife was running at least 3, most likely 5 burner accounts. Burner accounts, criticizing media members and players and things along those lines. The disaster of drafting Markelle Fultz, who lied about an injury and then forced his way out after he got benched for being terrible on the floor. All of these things, watching Jason Tatum light the Sixers up last night. This team is an absolute disgrace, and it's an embarrassment to the sport, the effort that they put up last night. There should never have been that wide of a margin of victory. Instead, the Philadelphia 76ers, from head coach to everybody not named Joel Embiid, gave up. They gave up. If you want a basketball reason as to why this thing is such an awful exhibition of effort and coaching and execution, the Boston Celtics were running the same play. They ran the same play every single time down the floor for 2 straight games. It's a simple pick and roll. And every single time, whoever it was, Joel Embiid or another big man, would fall back, and you would have somebody with a wide open shot. Every single time. How do you not make an adjustment? This is like playing somebody in Madden and getting quick slanted to death. They were just doing the same play over and over and over again. You saw Brad Stevens at one point on the sideline smile, get a chuckle because it was just so easy. This is such a mismanaged organization and then team below it. The front office, I've never been in this position before where it's a call for everybody to be removed. Everybody. Look, it's not just, Shanna's reacting to a bad loss. No. I've been writing about this locally. I've been talking about this for the last 2 to 3 years, both locally and nationally on this platform specifically. The Sixers are built incorrectly. We bring on constantly people around the NBA who cover the league, not just one team, and they say it. This team is not built like other teams are built in 2020. They're just not. No three-point threat, no ability to stretch the floor. You got rid of Jimmy Butler because the head coach couldn't coach him. And Ben Simmons didn't like it because he didn't have the ball in his hands at the end of the game. So they had to get rid of Jimmy Butler. Oh, are you kidding me? You got rid of the only guy who could actually stretch and take over a game with 3 minutes left, not named Embiid. In fact, even more dangerous because he could bring the ball up and create things. But Brett Brown and Ben Simmons, they couldn't deal with Jimmy Butler's personality. In Philadelphia, mind you, of all places, where it should have just been a match made in heaven, that Jimmy Butler, who all he wants to do is play basketball, in a city of fans who all they want is their athletes to play sports. That's it. What's happened to the Sixers has been a slow, methodical deterioration of a team that at one point had the promise of being locked into the Eastern Conference Finals for 4 or 5 years. Now, what do we have? Now you have a team in Boston that has made savvy move after savvy move, leaving the Sixers at one point in a tight rivalry behind them in their wake, eating their dust. And that effort last night that you saw was a perfect microcosm of how this team has fallen from grace. You know what's crazy is that they're the best team at home in the NBA by a mile. And that was still good enough for a 6 seed this year. Think about that. You had the leading average attendance. You had the best record at home. You had this home court advantage that was uncontested to anybody else in the NBA. And you still finished 6th in the East. You still found a way to underachieve and just lazily backdoor your way into the playoffs. Luckily, there are 2 really bad teams in the East that were able to inch their way into the playoffs in Brooklyn and Orlando. Otherwise, we would be talking about purgatory, which you still are technically in right now. They have yet to show that they can draft anybody. Mikal Bridges traded on draft night, and instead they draft a kid in Zaire Smith, who I don't even think is on the team right now. Everything that was done from the ousting of Sam Hinkie to the hiring of Elton Brand through the continued commitment of Brett Brown and bringing in the wrong type of players. And when you actually have the right player, you move on from him in Jimmy Butler. This is a colossal failure in sports. And it's not just a bad team that's been bad for a while. It's not the Cleveland Browns. This is something that we rarely see in sports, truly see in professional sports, where you have a gift given to you in your hands and you find a way to squander it. You find a way to just crush it. It's very delicate. Make sure you're really good on how you handle this. It's a very fragile gift I'm giving you, but it's really expensive and it's going to pay out tenfold. And the Sixers ownership just, give me that. And they grabbed it and they destroyed it right away. It's at the point right now where the only real solution for the Sixers to move on from 2 ridiculous contracts and Al Horford and Tobias Harris is to throw in Ben Simmons in a trade, which again is going to set this team back another year or 2. The whole idea about the process, trust the process, people talked about that, the tanking and everything. It didn't fail. It didn't succeed. It was derailed by the NBA. Can you imagine rooting for a team wherever you are? And all of a sudden, somebody has been given the job security to make sure that they have both draft picks and assets that they can trade. That's it. You've got picks that you can use to select, and you've got picks that you can use to trade. You now have multiple ways to bring in talent. Oh, and by the way, you also have a ton of money. Sam Hinkie left them with those 3 avenues to go down, and instead, Brian Colangelo was selected by the NBA because of the connection that his dad has with the NBA. I mean, this was the typical good old boy right here. No, don't worry. Josh Harris, Sixers owner, don't worry, front office. We know who the best fit is here for you. Can you imagine rooting for a team in which the league in which that team plays in steps in and demands that they bring in fill in the blank, an incompetent fill in the blank, mind you, to now run the team? And the kick in the you-know-what is that the Sixers allowed it. The Sixers just sat there and allowed it. And now you're stuck with a general manager who brought in 2 ridiculously bad contracts under his watch, moved on from another guy in Jimmy Butler. You've got a head coach who can't make one adjustment. He can't make one single adjustment. You've got a star point guard who can't shoot, won't get to the line when the game's on the line, won't put himself in a position where scoring, and we know it's the NBA where you have to score, is going to be first and foremost. That takes him out of games late, especially in the playoffs and half-court settings. We've seen that happen over the last couple of years as the season ends. And Joel Embiid, as much as I love the kid, I still recognize that there is some concern about his conditioning and health moving forward as such a big man on this planet. But he's the only bright spot we have right now in this city to talk about with the basketball team. It is much more of a systemic issue that started when the league stepped in and the team did nothing. Oh, you know what? It's the NBA. We can't do anything. I'm sorry. We're just going to have to sit back and allow them to tell us who our next general manager is. Because people around the league got jealous. General managers got jealous that they didn't have the job security Sam Hinkie did. They didn't have the intelligence to present the plan. That's it. They didn't have that. Yes, thanks again, bipolar legend. Brian Colangelo took TLC and Furkan Korkmaz in front of Pascal Siakam. And look, you can go through draft after draft, but there is a pattern of neglect and poor decision-making at the draft. At one point, they didn't even have, with the whole Mikal Bridges trade, Brett Brown was the acting GM at that time. I have never seen, I've watched Rich Kotite coach my football team. I've watched Chip Kelly coach my football team. I've seen the Philadelphia Flyers go 30 years before they found an actual goalie who could stop a puck in the playoffs. I've seen the Phillies set an attendance streak where they were the hottest team in baseball for like 4 or 5 years, and then that gets snapped with awful, brutal contracts that hung over due to unnecessary loyalty by management. Never have I ever felt this disgusted with a team. because of all of the things that have added up. Never in my life. At Shander Show, twitch.tv/Shander Show. I have to get that. If I was going to get that out, man, it was going to come out in some other form or fashion, road rage or something today. So we probably just saved somebody an unnecessary flip or something like that was probably going to be my fault anyway by allowing that to happen. I don't have any more words. I've said it all. We'll repost this. I am embarrassed. I'm embarrassed for everybody that's not named Joel Embiid for that team. I'm embarrassed for people who sat there when this team was purposely trying to win 12 or 13 games and still showed up because of their love and loyalty to this team. I'm embarrassed for me for having to come on the air and represent a city and specifically that team and expected to be held seriously on anything. I am full on embarrassed. And that's apathy is the only thing worse right now. The only thing worse, and that's right around the corner, mind you. All right. I can see apathy down the street. I'm not there yet, but I can see it. At Shander Show, twitch.tv/Shander Show, 800-224-2004. Now, speaking of Twitter, saw this tweet, and if you look at what we were talking about, actively preparing for the end of the world, and you dropping the dime on me earlier that I was in the opening segment, multitasking, of course, doing the show and folding laundry. Justin Mader at photograph_IC. Shander Show is folding laundry to stock his end of the world bunker. Don't let him fool you, Ron Culver.
He's a smart man.
That's somebody who is A, listening to the program or watching the program, and B, understands when to come in with a timely tweet.
No, he's listening to the program. Justin. He's listening to the program.
Oh, yes, that's our buddy Justin, who's Jake's guy, who's now our guy. Okay.
He's everyone's guy.
Oh, we love Justin.
He's the network guy.
You were going to say something else. Was that going to be Brenneman-esque?
Well, I was going to go show. I was going to say it's the show guy, but that's not specific. I said I had to clean it up, or not clean it up, but broaden it and say network. I wasn't going to Brenneman all over the show.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm smarter than that.
You are smarter than that. I'll give you that. All right. We have to. I just need to take a break and regroup. Because I'm just disgusted. You watched that. I'm sure you saw a little bit of it. You probably turned it off before a lot of people in this city turned it off. But the outside, every time we bring people on, the outside perspective is always this team's a mess. They're talented enough to be better than teams like Brooklyn and Orlando, but they're a mess. Boston just ran through them last night, and they ran the same damn play every single time. We'll wrap the hour next. It's the Second Level on Sports Map Radio.
Into the night.
Here with Tim Brando, Fox Sports college football guy. Let's get to this Big Ten debacle because the Big Ten hasn't actually made it official. But the commissioner, does he just like floating this out there to see which way the wind? Yeah, and then he puts his finger up and he licks it and puts it in the air to see which way the wind's blowing before he cancels the Big Ten season?
Sadly, it sort of looks that way. There's a lot more to it than that. And I've been pounding the pavement for almost 2 decades, saying we need one voice for college football. We need unified and universal leadership. How in the world did we get to this point where we find out from the commissioners of the Power Five that each stinking one of them has their own Anthony Fauci? 5 epidemiologists aren't going to agree on anything. And the fact that no epidemiologist from the Southeastern Conference or ACC is having consultation at all with the Big Ten, the Pac-12, and the Big 12 is absurd.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Weeknights at 10 Eastern.
Introducing AutomotiveMap.com, a website for anyone interested in the automotive world. Whether you want to check out the latest auto news, read reviews on the newest vehicles, see some vintage rides, or get tips to keeping your family safe on the road, AutomotiveMap.com has something for you. If you love cars, trucks, SUVs, and the amazing technology hitting the showroom, then head over to AutomotiveMap.com. That's AutomotiveMap.com.
Pushing the odds with Matt Peralt.
Les Carpenter covers the Washington NFL franchise for the Washington Post. There were such rampant rumors flying around. I'm sure you guys heard about that. How difficult was that? There was just such craziness around what you guys were going to put out.
There were some people in the media, mostly in this market, that kind of said that early on. And I think that allowed everyone to sort of let their imaginations run wild. That's what upsets me the most. Yeah, I can't say this enough. 50 women had the courage to come forward and talk about their experiences. And I feel like in some ways that has been belittled just some of the the things I've seen on the internet, and that's just disappointing. This is not a nothing story. This is serious. And, I realize there's a lot of people who would like the owner gone, would like, things to change with the franchise in that regard. But please listen to what these women are saying. It is so important. And I use the word heartbreaking, but that's the word that just kept coming back to my mind. I just can't believe they went through this.
Pushing the Odds with Matt Peralt. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern.
The second level.
Whose last name would you take as your own if you had to pick one? Asman, Desiri, or Shander?
It's not Asman.
Ron Asman?
Yeah.
I think you'd have to go Tony, right? Ron Shander isn't terrible.
Ron Shander sounds like a real estate agent. Ron Desiri or Ronnie D.
Ronnie D is great. Tony D, Ronnie D. You guys are a couple of brothers out there.
The second level with Eitan Shander. Weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.
Scratching beneath the surface. It's the second level on the SportsMap Radio Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage.
From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
All right, final couple of minutes here. Busy second hour. Fake news with Ron Culver at 12:25. We've got John McMullen, our NFL insider, that will join us at 12:40. And some interesting pieces that he's put out the last week or so that we'll touch on both locally with a big movement here in Philadelphia as well as nationally. Some thoughts on where the NFL is. And a couple of NBA picks to look at as we have the Bucks today looking to bounce back from a horrific loss to Orlando. And we'll touch a little bit more, but the Milwaukee Bucks today, I think, are just going to pound the Magic into oblivion. And I think that means go under. The game that I'm looking forward to the most, outside, of course, of tonight, Portland and the Blazers. Actually, I take that back. I think all four games today, outside of maybe Orlando, Milwaukee, are going to provide a lot of excitement. I think this is a good bounce back day for the NBA product. We'll see. Baseball coming up 2 in an hour. At Shander Show, it's the second level.
Into the night.
You think LeBron, if he wins a title on October 12th, is going to be ready to go back to training camp less than a month later?
No.
And then start the season on December 1st? Hell no.
No.
Hey, LeBron, you just won another championship. What are you going to do? I ain't doing nothing. I got to be back in work in 3 weeks.
Right.
I can't even go to Disney World. I've been here since frickin' July.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Weeknights at 10 Eastern.
Into the night.
Here with my man Kevin Harlan. So what's your favorite organic thing that you've ever done, whether it's an NBA or an NFL game or any other sport?
Well, they've all been organic. I like to say that whenever they've happened, they're so focused that it does happen organically. Now, listen, wrestling with my kids or playing Nerf football in their rooms, you come up with these crazy sayings like the no regard for human life. That call, that actually I stole from a James Bond movie, Dr. No. So
1 second.
When I heard that line, I would use it when I was playing against our son, Nerf football or Nerf basketball, in his room when he was like a little guy. When he was like 2 and 3 years old, he goes, I have no regard for human life. And I would slam the Nerf ball over his head. So when LeBron did that, for whatever reason in that moment, it just kind of popped into my head and I used the call.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Weeknights at 10 Eastern.
Pharrell.
Coast to coast! If there's 6 games a day of NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, hold on 1 second. Mavi, can you get my divorce lawyer on the phone, please? Thank you. We're gonna get a divorce because I'm gonna watch 6 hockey games a day, and I'm not even gonna bathe.
Pharrell Coast to Coast with Scott Pharrell. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern.
Wake up call!
Big Ten has 1 game this year.
Ohio State, Michigan?
At the Rose Bowl.
Oh, that's not bad.
On January 1st.
That's not bad. Can you imagine if Harbaugh loses that game and Michigan fans
God.
You had 4 months to prepare for one team.
Be fired on
one
the field.
moment. This is what we get. You can't beat Ohio State when you have had nothing else on your calendar.
He wouldn't even get the Lane Kiffin treatment.
No, he wouldn't either.
There's no tarmac in his future. It would just
because
be right there in the tunnel.
Getting fired on the tarmac indicates that you thought you were going to get on the plane. They wouldn't even allow him the thought of getting on the plane. Don't pack your bags. You might as well stay here for a few days.
Yeah, you're used to California, right?
Yeah,
Stay in California.
Didn't you coach down at San Diego State at one point? Go visit them for a few days because you ain't coming back to Ann Arbor with us.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings from 7 to 9 Eastern.
Wake up call. I've always said this about participation trophies. When I hear people say these kids today, they get that's not on the kids. That's on us. We're the ones doing it. We're giving it to them. They're not asking for it.
You're the
Little
one who
league
brought that
team,
up.
the little pit, the flag football team, whatever it is, they're not asking for participation trophies. Our generation is giving them participation trophies.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings from 7 to 9 Eastern.
The second level.
You don't say one of the best when you talk about the Hall of Famer Ronnie Lott. You say the I'm literally best. watching Do you this think right if now, this were there's no happening problem with the back connection in at all? 84, 85, would you opt out or would you play?
There are certain things that
Might be mad I'm not on
with
97.3.
your responsibilities, and there are certain things that you have to be able to understand. And when you think about those responsibilities, you're hoping that everybody abides by those responsibilities. The 49ers, and the reason I can only speak about that is that given the characteristics of the group and given the characteristics of the people and understanding the consequences, that's what allowed that team at that time to be able to function and do things that maybe other teams couldn't do.
The second level with Eitan Shander. Weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.
Let's go now.
You're listening to the Sports Map Radio Network, your home for Tony Bruno,
Some guy named
Myers Leonard,
Myers Leonard. I thought that was an electronics store in Indiana.
Scott Farrell.
I've thrown out 2 first pitches, and both times I threw heat. Rock star status.
Now you can take Sports Map Radio anywhere with the new Sports Map Radio Network app. Just search Sports Map Radio in your app store today.
Myers Leonard, his prices are insane.
Check out.
One of the big changes we're all dealing with is wearing a mask, but not all offer the same comfort and protection. I recommend the Boomer Naturals 3-layer comfortable breathable mask enhanced with nano silver technology. Nano silver can block those tiny drops and particles from getting to your nose and mouth. They also offer nano silver neck gaiters, available in sizes for adults and children, and are in stock now and shipped to you fast. Order now at boomernaturals.com. Use the promo code Tony and save 20%. That's code Tony at boomernaturals.com.
At Advance Auto Parts, we have same-day delivery, same-day contact-free curbside pickup, and same-day in-store pickup to keep you going. And we have the right oil, right filter, right price every day to keep your vehicle going. Get 5 quarts of full synthetic Valvoline, Mobile One, Pennzoil Platinum, or Castrol Edge with a Fram titanium oil filter for just $33.99. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. See store for details.
This is a Gal Media property in partnership with Jacob Media.
Set your system's volume control for slightly above the normal listening level. Let's go.
Second level thinking is defined as looking beyond the easy, obvious conclusions.
You got to do some smart thinking.
Welcome to the second level on the Sports Map Radio Network, a show where we go beyond the box score.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage. Home loans that fit your life. Rocket can.
Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
I just saw this coming out, and now I'm actually intrigued because initially I was going to rip it, but it's actually a pretty good idea. It's probably placebo-driven, but who the hell knows at this point? There's a new hard seltzer out, another hard seltzer. They are even self-aware of the other hard seltzer that's out here. It's called Vizzy, V-I-Z-Z-Y, hard seltzer. Now, we've got a promo running about White Claws and how I stumbled onto the White Claw on the golf course, and now it's all I'll drink out there, mainly because it gets hot and you don't want to be weighed down. If you already weigh a lot, you don't want to be weighed down anymore by a beer. Or you got to go with those light, like super light beers where it's basically water with a splash of beer and alcohol. You might as well do the hard seltzer at that point. But Vizzy hard seltzer. So, okay, what's going to make Vizzy's hard seltzer different than the other ones? According to Vizzy hard seltzer, and look, I'm actually going to reach out to them, see if we can get them on the show as a sponsor. I'll let them hear that White Claw spot and say, look, you can now come on and be the hard seltzer of the second level on SportsMap Radio. And the difference between this one and everybody else is they now have the antioxidant vitamin C. So this is coming. It's technically arrived with Vizzy hard seltzer, but I guarantee you it takes maybe 2 to 4 months before we see Bud Light, Corona, White Claw, all these others offer something like that, where it's almost like a healthier alternative to the healthy alternative of beer, just straight liquor. And now it's just a matter of time before everybody else catches on board. I don't necessarily believe that there's going to be a health benefit to it, but at the same time, I have to credit them. This is a heck of an ad campaign. And anybody out there who's health conscious, and there are a lot of people, and there's nothing wrong with that, they're probably going to look at this and think, that might be the difference. Is I might look at, sugars and calories, but I could get some extra vitamin C. Maybe it'll help you with a hangover. Who knows? Busy hour right now. We'll look at what's going on in the world of golf. A major, non-major happening right now.
Asman here. One of the big changes we're all dealing with is wearing a mask, but not all offer the same comfort and protection. I recommend the Boomer Naturals 3-layer comfortable, breathable mask enhanced with nano silver technology. Nano silver can block those tiny drops and particles from getting to your nose and mouth. They also offer those popular nano silver neck gaiters, available in sizes for adults and children, in stock now and shipped to you fast. Order now at boomernaturals.com. Use promo code Jake and save 20%. That's code Jake at boomernaturals.com.
Dell supports America's entrepreneurs during Small Business Month with all you need to office anywhere. Save up to 45% on computers and servers with Intel Core processors. Upgrade to new modern devices with Windows 10. Plus, save on top brand tech while enjoying free shipping on everything and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call 877-ASK-DELL to talk to a Dell Technologies advisor who can help you find the tech that's just right. That's 877-ASK-DELL or visit Dell.com/smallbusinessdeals.
Auto Accident Help Desk is a marketing agency connecting callers with attorneys. Providers pay a fee for advertising services.
I love getting my kids ready and driving them to school.
But a careless driver can change your life in an instant, and insurance companies want to settle on the cheap. Auto Accident Help Desk connects victims with powerful lawyers. They fight for you.
I called Auto Accident Help Desk and got help for my pain and suffering.
Don't let an insurance company take advantage of you. Our attorneys fight and beat big insurance every day.
Call 800-528-6859. 800-528-6859.
If you've been injured in an automobile accident in the last 6 months, you owe it to yourself to make this free call with no obligation. We're available 24/7 to help you get the money you deserve for your pain and suffering. Auto Accident Help Desk helps accident victims like you every day.
Call 800-528-6859. 800-528-6859. That's 800-528-6859.
Over 2.5 million airline passengers fly every day in the United States. Those passengers depend on reliable airplanes, and those planes need certified aircraft technicians. That's where you come in. We are the Aviation Institute of Maintenance, and we train tomorrow's technicians. We train our students hands-on with real aircraft, develop their skills, and prepare them for real jobs in the industry. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports the average aircraft technician in the United States makes over $62,000 a year.
The job opportunity is there. The money is there.
If you want to work with your hands, it's a perfect place for you.
Call 800-876-0097.
I'm very impressed with the AIM curriculum. The school's keeping pace with the demands of the industry.
The potential for growth is astounding.
At the Aviation Institute of Maintenance, we train tomorrow's technicians.
800-876-0097. 800-876-0097.
the SportsMap Radio Network, we wear Boomer Naturals masks. Order now at boomernaturals.com. Use promo code SportsMap Radio for 20% off. Dealing with the root of the issues. It's the second level on the SportsMap Radio Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage.
Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
We've got an interesting first round underway at the Northern Trust. Harris English, that's a name that we played. In fact, Harris bit me in the butt last time because he just finished outside of a top 20 finish. I had him at top 20, I had him at top 10. Look, top 10 is tough. It's a crapshoot. But the top 20 was realistic, and he played himself out of it on Sunday. But Harris English right now, a 2-stroke lead over a couple of guys, one of them named Dustin Johnson. Poulter and Steele in that as well. How about the Gooch? The Gooch is back. He's 4 under, 3 off the lead. Right now in a big tie for 5th place, but more importantly, you start to look around. I mean, it's guys that, Berger has been there, but Harry Higgs is not going to make any real threat here, nor is Louis Oosthuizen. So you can look at the Gooch, who has kind of been hovering. We brought him up last week. He was hovering and then kind of got bounced back. I mistakenly took, and I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong here. And boy, was I wrong. I don't know what it was. I think I was just wrapped up in the Ryan Ballengee interview, and he made a really good point about the possibility. That's the key term there, the possibility of Jordan Spieth being hit or miss. And if he hits, then you might actually see something here where he could go out and win the first round. Now, he was 2 over through 2, and it looks as if he's pretty much in that same area right now, trying to find the exact score for him. But he started out 2 over right away through 2, and it was a difficult round. Now, look, he's 2 under right now through 11. So he's at least battled back somehow. And after the first 2 bogeys, he's been 4 under. But 5 strokes off the lead, I don't necessarily know if that's going to be good enough. Now, that was going to pay plus 6,600, so I threw a small shekel, if you will, on that one. The bigger one, though, is kind of looking at the odds-on favorite, who you weren't getting a ton of odds as far as anything truly beneficial. But looking at Bryson and seeing him as the possibility of coming in and winning this thing. Now, you've got some other, this is huge. This is a major-esque event without it actually being a major. Now, Bryson is going to tee off at 1:06 Eastern. So he's kind of in that mid to late group, if you will. Last person to tee off will be 1:50 Eastern. So you've got a couple of people in between that and when Bryson goes off. But he, I think, comes in still, and I'll get you the live odds as they shifted. He's dropped a little bit, but so is Dustin Johnson. Who in their right mind is going to place a wager on Dustin Johnson unless it's a live wager on Sunday? How could you be? You're better off placing a wager on Ricky Fowler right now. Who would honestly look themselves in the mirror and think, you know what? Today's the day. On a Thursday, I'm going to bet Dustin Johnson. Because you know what you're going to do? You're going to put yourself through absolute misery. The bet will play out for 3 days, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and you're looking around like, whoa, all of a sudden I got something here. But in reality, you'll watch him just squander and self-implode to the point where that is a long vision of winning any tournament. In fact, it's just been pushed. So I took the parlay, and we talked this through with Ryan yesterday on his spot with us, 11:40 Eastern on Wednesdays. And we tried to combine 2 guys who realistically could shoot 3 under par. That's really what I need, is I need 3 under par. Well, I need somewhere around that. And in fact, it looks like both Dustin Johnson right now at 5 under, he's good for an under 68.5. All I need now is Bryson to be there. It's a par 71, so technically to get 68, I would need under that, right? Because it's 68.5. So that's all I need. You can shoot a 68 and this thing clears. But we tried to angle it with 2 golfers who had the best shot on day 1 to just play at the very least marginally good best case scenario is you see what happens with Dustin Johnson. He's coming out firing. But I just, it's almost like he has so much working against him in the past with failing to complete majors or big tournaments like this, to where you're better off riding the Gooch right now. What's the Gooch at as far as live odds? Now, Harris English has bumped up to plus 1,100. I don't necessarily like it's tough when you stick around for 4 straight days, like a wire-to-wire winner. That's going to be really difficult. But looking around and trying to find some sort of value here, Bryson is still at the top at plus 1,000 alongside DJ as mentioned. But looking, and I'm just going to try and find where Taylor Gooch is at plus 6,600 to win this. He was actually hovering last time, but had to settle for like a top 5, I believe, finish. Might have played him into a top 10. But you don't really have any convincing name here. Just looking at the 9 or 10 guys that are all in the lead from 7 under in Harris English to Maverick McNeely, the ever dangerous Maverick McNeely. Now, Gooch is in the clubhouse alongside Poulter with a 66. Harris English actually could add to this lead right now through 15, 7 under. Everybody wants to know how Tiger's doing, the big cat out there. It wasn't a terrible outing so far, but I think that you're still so far away from watching Woods truly compete for something. I think, unfortunately, as much as a lot of us are hoping for the return of some sort of Tiger, the reality is that it's going to be a more of an involved, maybe even broken down Tiger that's going to sneak some. Like, he's become the amasser, if you will, in sports. Now, look, he's not terrible. He's 5 off the lead right now. This might be the best that you'll get from Tiger. He has looked comfortable out there, watching a little bit of it. Clearly, this is the good of the inconsistent with Tiger. The problem that we have with Woods right now is he could easily shoot 3 or 4 under when the day's over today and just eliminate that with 5 over tomorrow, 4 over tomorrow, and marginally make the cut or miss the cut for that matter. We still don't have any type of real beat on who Tiger Woods is yet. And I don't think you're going to get it in one day per se. I don't think you're going to get it right now with one round Thursday at the Northern Trust. Rory's 2 under as well. Woods through 13. Rory's through 15. I'm not touching these guys at all. There's nothing that Rory's at plus 1,800. That's just try to sneak in there and try to draw you in. Tiger's at plus 28. Now, if you're looking for somebody who has a legit shot that has yet to tee off that's not named Bryson, how about Xander? Xander has now 5 straight top 20 finishes. He's played really consistent throughout the season. Yeah, a bad round or two, that's fine. But overall, especially the last 5 outings, he's finished top 20. Xander has been on fire. And what's crazy is not a lot of people have bet him down. You would think that people paying attention to this and thinking, well, I can get something now with Xander at plus 2,200. That hasn't even been bet down. Wow, DJ went from plus 1,000 to plus 1,600. What in the world? Bogey, that's why. Here it comes. He couldn't even make it a day. It's unbelievable. The guy couldn't even make it a day. I'm trying to find specifically for you, one thing with the Northern Trust today would be trying to look at 2 guys going at it. Justin Thomas, Morikawa is one pair. Woods and Matthew Fitzpatrick is another one. Now, Matthew Fitzpatrick right now is 5 over. The only one worse is the guy who hit the hole-in-one last week that was not excited at all. I don't want to butcher his name. That's it. I mean, Matthew Fitzpatrick is cooked, and he still has 5 holes left. So you can look at the next 3 holes and still get positive money back on Tiger. There's a par 4, a par 5, and a par 3. I'd stay away from the par 4, but at this point, now the tie is always going to be in play, especially on a par 3 where you're going to have to lay a lot of juice. But at this point, as locked in as Tiger has seemed, and again, he's not locked in like the match, But as locked in as Tiger has seemed so far, and as poor as Matthew Fitzpatrick has played through 13, mind you, both in the same group here, there's no real risk here in looking at Tiger Woods more so than the absurd risk of Matthew Fitzpatrick. If you wanted to just lay the ties down, you can. The tie for two of these three holes is laying juice, minus 132 for the par 4, minus 157 for the par 3. You know, at this point, you're probably better off simply because you're better off looking at Tiger winning one of these three holes. You could probably just put them all together. Now, you're not going to be able to parlay these, I imagine. But if you look at the return, just a quick little exercise in live betting here for the PGA. For those of you who think, golf, you know, it's tough for me, I don't play it. There's always opportunity. There's always value on the board. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you've never seen a pitch of Korean baseball. There was value on the board there before real baseball here returned, unfortunately. I had more fun watching that, to be honest. But the returns are plus 260, plus 180, plus 295. And this is more about where Matthew, I think you're playing against Matthew Fitzpatrick more so than you're playing on Tiger Woods' side. You're just waiting for Fitzpatrick to continue to blow it and make a mistake. It's going to be pretty difficult for this guy all of a sudden in the final 5 or 4 holes to just turn it on and birdie everything. Usually a guy like that, plus 5 through 13, has given up and is probably just making it through the cut now so that he can get the sponsorship money for showing up. Not going to be a withdrawal, but it's pretty much close to that. Wow. Doc Redman and Rory Sabatini have also played themselves out of this. Colin Morikawa, remember what Ryan Ballinger said. I specifically asked him about the possibility of Colin Morikawa winning this thing and leading after one. And Ryan, and I'll paraphrase what he said Morikawa could be the number one golfer in the world without even being on tour for, more than 16 months or so? Maybe even that. I think maybe a year. And it's just way too much pressure for any young golfer to be under to show up and dominate this type of a field. And through 14, we see Colin Morikawa is plus 1. At Shander Show on Twitter, twitch.tv/Shander Show is how you follow along. You can watch the program. You never know what's going to happen on the Twitch channel. Could be doing laundry. It could be bringing on a guest like John McMullen at 12:40 Eastern. Could be just other wild, wacky stuff with the green screen. Tiger plus 260, plus 180, plus 295. Fading Matthew Fitzpatrick. You know what the heck? We'll place the live bet. We'll take a quick break. Fake news with Ron Culver coming your way next. It's the second level on SportsMap Radio.
Into the night.
Back here into the night, Mark Schlereth continues to talk with us.
Hey, Mark, what's your take on the Dak Prescott situation? Obviously, going to play this year under the franchise tag.
The thing that drove me crazy about the whole Dak Prescott situation was, the Dallas Cowboys, they kept releasing the contract terms. One thing I know about players and agents, they don't release a contract term unless they're going to sign it. They don't say, hey, look, we got this money, but we're not going to sign it because it's not enough money. And the thing that drives me crazy about organizations is they all claim salary cap victim. The salary cap can totally be manipulated. You can pay anybody that you want to pay. That's the way the salary cap works. You can always find money. You can manipulate the cap. You can redo other people's contracts. Just look at Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, with Chris Jones. If your intent is to get it done, you'll find a way to get it done.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Weeknights at 10 Eastern.
If business, pleasure, or sports fandom takes you to Houston, Dallas, Austin, Fort Worth, or San Antonio, check out CultureMap.com to get the scoop on the local favorites. From the best restaurants, bars, pubs, and clubs to the biggest sights and sounds each city has to offer, CultureMap has it all. Just head over to CultureMap.com. The expert team personally reviews and visits each spot to make sure you get the best experience. And if you're coming back, sign up for free CultureMap updates at CultureMap.com. If business, pleasure, or sports fandom takes you to Houston, Dallas, Austin, Fort Worth, or San Antonio, check out CultureMap.com to get the scoop on the local favorites. From the best restaurants, bars, pubs, and clubs to the biggest sights and sounds each city has to offer, CultureMap has it all. Just head over to CultureMap.com. The expert team personally reviews and visits each spot to make sure you get the best experience. And if you're coming back, sign up for free CultureMap updates at CultureMap.com.
Pushing the Odds with Matt Peralt.
Our next guest here on the Progressive Guest Line is a Pro Football Hall of Famer and a guy who, me growing up in the Boston area, watching Andre Reed catching passes was a thing of beauty.
Patriots fan, you know what? Foxborough Stadium was the worst stadium in all of sports. It was so bad.
I can't argue with that. I mean, that's why they tore it down and put up the new one.
Old Foxborough Stadium, in the corners of the stadium when it was turf, it was rolled up like a carpet in the corners of the end zone. So if you ran a corner route into the end zone, good luck.
And the metal bleachers, I mean, that's where my first football game ever that I went to was the Patriot game in their 2-14 season, sitting in the cold bleachers, freezing my tail off. So yeah, that was not a fun place to go play. And I'm assuming going to the ground wasn't that fun either, landing on that turf.
Oh my gosh, it was like playing on concrete, no doubt about it.
Pushing the Odds with Matt Peralt. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern.
So, can I ask you a question?
Fake news with Ron. With all the fake news out there,
Don't believe those lies.
it's on Shander to give it to you straight. 3 stories, but only one is fake.
It's true. I know it's a weird thought, but it's true.
Can Shander spot the fraud? Here's Ron Culver.
Nah, I don't even think you have a chance today.
Not today?
Nah.
Would you doctor?
I think today is one of those days where, because every story is so absurd that you're just going to go, I'm just going to throw a dart. That's all. That's what it's going to be. I'm just going to throw a dart and see where it lands.
Okay.
What we need to get you to do, we need to get you to buy like one of those wheels, like a game board wheel.
I have one of those, like a spinning wheel, like a prize wheel.
Not a prize wheel, like a game board wheel that shows you how many steps you get to take, except it's just 3, because this is one of those days where you just flick that thing and that little arrow spins around and it lands on 1, 2, or 3, and you're just going to go.
What are you talking about? What type of wheel? Like the Game of Life wheel?
Yeah, something similar to that.
Okay. Why didn't you just say that?
Or Chutes and Ladders wheel.
There wasn't a ladder.
Chutes and Ladders?
Yeah.
Yeah, you had to do this little thing. Trust me, I play with my kids all the time.
There wasn't. I thought you just rolled die on.
No, not on Chutes and Ladders. No, there's a you can move up to 6 spaces.
Whatever happened to Snakes and Ladders? Was that too mean?
That's not
scary?
PC.
Really? You can't do Snakes and Ladders?
Can't do Snakes and Ladders.
Wasn't that the initial game?
I think it was.
Oh,
I
they
think
changed
you're right.
it to Chutes.
Chutes.
That's when you knew things were going wrong.
Chutes.
Here. Cancel culture began when Snakes first.
That's right.
All right, what do you got today?
All right, story number 1. A public high school in Indiana has taken a cue from Major League Baseball. They've added cardboard cutouts in between students to help maintain social distancing measures.
Okay, so this is in class.
In class. In a public school. So you're sitting at a table. Picture high school, 2 to a table.
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting there. Next to you is a cardboard cutout. Then there's like a little space, and then there's a student and a cardboard cutout, or a cardboard cutout and then a student. And it's to help maintain social distancing.
That's not a bad idea.
A bad idea.
I've already seen a couple of classrooms online, like some things that have gone viral. We're all virtual here for the most part in the Delaware Valley, like Philly area.
Yeah.
But I've seen pictures of, how they have it where, like at a casino, you have those
glass partitions?
Exactly,
Yeah.
partition. Thank you.
Although I have seen some absurd ones. There was a teacher who posted, his went viral. He was a teacher in Arkansas, I believe, whose school district literally just hung up a clear shower curtain in front of his desk.
Is that right?
A clear shower. One of those that if you pull too hard, the whole thing comes down.
Yes, absolutely.
Type of shower curtain.
Yeah.
That's what they put in front of his desk. It's literally hung up like by chicken wire in the, remember those tile roofs that you can throw pencils up?
Oh,
and they would
yeah,
stick?
absolutely.
It's like literally hung up by chicken wire, hanging in front of
What's
his
it
desk.
hanging from, though? The ceiling?
No, you just around the little brackets that you would put that fake whatever. I don't even know what kind of material that was.
Oh my!
But you know what I'm talking about. You threw pencils.
This is where, Arkansas?
It's actually something similar that I have in here.
Okay. Well, the first
Except
story.
I don't have the little dots to count.
Where is this story again? The first one that you.
Oh, in Indiana.
Okay. And it's basically just putting the cardboard cutout of a student, and we're talking about class, right? Not the cafeteria.
No, yeah, in class. I don't know what they're doing in cafeteria or the hallways, to be honest with you. But in class, they've taken the measures to put cardboard cutouts in between students.
Okay.
All right.
I think it's definitely believable.
Story number 2.
Yeah. Okay.
As this one guy found out, apparently your body can unexpectedly make itself drunk. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
And the only cure that they've been able to find for this guy was a fecal transplant.
Okay. How the hell did this happen in the first place, though? Can you explain how you can make yourself drunk?
A Belgian man has been diagnosed with the disorder. It's called the Otto Brewery syndrome. Okay. And basically what it does is that it takes the carbohydrates that you just ingest and turns it over into booze. Now, we all have this ability, but ours is in such small doses that we never even notice it.
Sure.
For whatever reason, his was accelerated, and he would appear drunk, even though he never drank any alcohol. He even had been pulled over a couple of times for a DUI, and he had his license stripped away from him because the officer thought he was drunk.
Unbelievable.
So they tried a whole bunch of different tests for him.
Unbelievable.
They tried a whole bunch of different tests, but the one thing that worked, that it was just a crazy idea, like a shot in the wall idea, was a fecal transplant. And
I don't even know what that means. Like, I understand
you know
the
what fecal is.
Yeah, I understand the concept.
I don't know how it was placed. I'm hoping it wasn't oral.
Oh, you at least put me to sleep if it's going to be oral,
Yeah,
right?
but he received the fecal matter from his daughter.
Okay. His daughter.
Unbelievable. And that seemed to have done the trick. After 34 months, the man went back in for a checkup. Everything looked clear.
And he's fine now. Now, what about his daughter?
After 3 years, he now has his license back.
It took him 3 years and a fecal transplant?
Well, he had to go through that whole thing. But, I mean, the guy, he was just like, if you just had, like, some bread, you'd end up getting drunk. Then his blood alcohol level would be like twice over the normal limit.
This is one of the craziest things you've ever brought up by a mile.
Yeah.
By a mile. And which probably means it's true. All right, what's the third?
So story number 3. TikTok star Bryce Hall. I know you're all about these TikTok stars, Eitan. TikTok star Bryce Hall had his utilities shut off by the mayor of Los Angeles because he held a maskless Hollywood Hills party.
Well, I do believe that. We've seen a couple of parties come out of LA, and I also know that they plan to purposely cut off people's power to try and conserve energy. So this could be, now this is a tricky one because you could have taken two things going on in real life and created a fake story out of it, knowing that I wouldn't know, I couldn't pick this kid out of a lineup.
I wouldn't go that simple to just change a kid's name.
No, not the kid's name, but take two things going on, which is we've seen these Hollywood parties with maskless people in there on top of California, especially, I believe, LA, right, shutting down power in certain neighborhoods to conserve energy. You're right. This is a tough one.
So, are you going to give an answer before we bring John on?
I
or are
will.
you going to wait and hold off and say, you know what, John, I need your help.
No,
we're going to tag team.
I only do that when John joins
together.
us. Only when he joins us. Because I feel bad. I don't want to go through all this and then cherry pick his answer when we'll talk to him in 5 minutes.
Right.
This is a tough one, man. I think it's story 1.
I think it's story number 1.
I do. I think it's story 2. If you created that, or if you took that from The Onion or like Clickhole or something, then I give up. Like I'm not going to be able to win this game. This is like the Sixers Celtics last night, where I should just put in Alec Burks and company and Raul Neto. That's
so
what.
Just take Embiid out and sit him down, and or maybe trade Embiid and get as many draft picks as you possibly can and rebuild this thing from scratch.
Right idea, wrong name. It's got to be Simmons. I say story 1. I'm going to lock in to story 1. We'll hear what John McMullen has to say, his thoughts on that and more around the NFL, as we'll chat with our NFL insider, courtesy of Jacob Nita, coming up now on the Second Level.
Hey, one thing you should bring up with John
Yes.
It was the basis of Tony and I's Throwback Thursday today.
So when you're
Oh,
talking
yes.
It's Happy Birthday, NFL.
Oh, is
parts
it
and supplies,
76?
to do the job right the first time.
The NFL?
Yeah.
Well, technically it's 100.
Yeah, but I thought they just celebrated their
Two for
$75th anniversary
$5.
last
Stop
year.
by or visit.
No, they've actually been celebrating the 100th birthday last 2 years.
Really?
For whatever reason, yeah. But yeah, today, on this date in 1920, the American Professional Football Alliance was formed. 2 years later, it would become the NFL.
Offering supplies and solutions for every industry.
Wow, 100
Free
years,
access
huh?
to products.
So it's really 101, right?
24/7 support, safety recovery guides, and more.
I guess? Is that how it works? I'm not sure.
Call clickgranger.com.
If it was founded in 1920 and it's 2020, wouldn't that make it 100? Or is that?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's 100.
$99 and under. Women's Sonoma tees are just $6.39.
Yeah, absolutely. I
And
think
get up
you're
to
right.
50% off Croft and Barrel bed sheets.
All right.
That's
We've
what
got a
always
birthday.
confused me that last year was the 100th season. I'm not sure how they did that. Were they remember they were doing all the centennial stuff?
Click
Yes,
Family
yes,
Shop.
yes.
10
Now I
off 50
do
with
remember.
promo code BTS10. Some exclusions apply. See store or
I do
website for
remember that.
details.
Third floor study hall. First floor homeroom. My dining room table.
Wherever school happens for you this year, Staples has everything from notebooks to sanitizer, laptops to face masks. Now at Staples, get 20% off your in-store purchase of hand sanitizer, masks, and other PPE products. Go to staples.com/20off PPE for your coupon.
In front of the TV.
No chance, kiddo. Staples. Shop in-store or pick up curbside. Ends 8/22. In-store only. Exclusions apply. See store for details. Curbside available in most stores.
Over 2.5 million airline passengers fly every day in the United States. Those passengers depend on reliable airplanes, and those planes need certified aircraft technicians. That's where you come in. We are the Aviation Institute of Maintenance, and we train tomorrow's technicians. We train our students hands-on with real aircraft, develop their skills, and prepare them for real jobs in the industry. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports the average aircraft technician in the United States makes over $62,000 a year.
The job opportunity is there. The money is there.
If you want to work with your hands, it's a perfect place for you.
Call 800-876-0097.
I'm very impressed with the AIM curriculum. The school's keeping pace with the demands of the industry.
The potential for growth is astounding.
At the Aviation Institute of Maintenance, we train tomorrow's technicians.
800-876-0097. 800-876-0097.
John's ready.
Okay.
You're listening to The Second Level on the SportsMap Radio Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage. Home loans that fit your life. Rocket can.
From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, with way more than the scores, here's Eitan Shander.
We just ran through the top 3 stories for fake news on the day. I'm locked in, John McMullen, at JF McMullen, our NFL insider, and fake news expert. We should start branding you that, right?
Yes.
I mean, you are the expert when it comes to sniffing out the fake news of the day. You can see him all over the place, read him, Philly Voice, Eagles Maven, SI as well. Hear him on this show, the Tony Bruno Show on SportsMap Radio as well. All right, John, I locked into story 1. Ron's going to read them for you. You know the drill here. And you tell us what you're thinking and where we should actually be.
All right, let's go. Let's do it.
All right, story number 1. A public high school in Indiana has taken a cue from Major League Baseball. They've added cardboard cutouts in between students to help maintain social distancing measures.
That's one of the few good baseball ideas. So
I love it.
Maybe there's a baseball fan who saw it and liked it and said, "Let's give it a try." I can buy it, but let's see.
Okay. Story number 2. A Belgian man has been, let me find the right way to say it, because this one's kind of confusing. You got to follow along.
Here's the thing. This is way too complicated and weird for it to be fake. And if it is fake, then I just give up. We're just going to bring you on every day. You can do the segment with Ron, and I'll just take a step back and maybe, eat some shells or something.
A Belgian man has learned or has been making himself drunk just by eating. He has a genetic disorder called Otto Brewery syndrome,
ABS.
And then apparently when he has carbohydrates in time, those carbohydrates, like in a short amount of time, like within an hour, produce enough alcohol that raises his blood alcohol level over the legal limit. He's been pulled over for DUI several times. He had his license stripped away, and he met with many a doctor. After a period of a couple of years, after a period of a couple of years, the doctors decided to try a new treatment. Just literally was throwing like a dart at a wall. Maybe this will stick, and he had a fecal transplant. So they found healthy fecal from his daughter and put it in his body, and it ended up curing him.
Why do these things, I think I had that same syndrome in college, but we just put a watermelon in grain alcohol. And that did the same thing. But that is so detailed. And why do these things always happen in with Belgian people? I see that as a
they have good beer over there.
Theme. That's true, but it's so involved. I'm gonna say I'd be so impressed with Ron to make this up. It's got to be true.
Yeah,
even though it's absurd.
That was pretty much Eitan's response. Story number 3: TikTok star Bryce Hall. Because John, like I said to Eitan, I know you're all about those TikTok stars. TikTok star Bryce Hall had his utilities shut off by the mayor of L.A. after holding a maskless Hollywood Hills party.
I know there was a shut off of water or electricity in LA because of a party. The question is, would you go that curveball on me and say it's a TikTok star or a YouTube star versus Instagram star? That could be a tweak. I'm going to say you didn't do that. So I'm going to go with Eitan today and say number 1.
Now, real quick, before Ron gives the answer, he was certain that I wasn't going to get it today. And I assume that he thought he would be able to slide one through the 5-hole on you as well.
Possible. It's always possible.
Yeah, because what I found, it was like, you know what? I have 3 absurd stories. Each one seems more absurd than the other. And unfortunately for me, you both are right.
Look at that. Look at that. And I didn't even need your help today, John.
The fake story is that a public school in Indiana did not set up cardboard cutouts in between their students. However, there is a public school in Indiana that just recently held a virtual fire drill.
Really?
Virtual fire drill.
Yes. The school.
And by the way,
while these kids are on their laptops,
yes,
the school held a fire drill, and the kids were to follow a map to show where they were that they were supposed to head to while they're safely at home.
They're at home.
Yeah.
How do they have the layout for everyone's home?
No. They don't have the layout for the home. They had they were looking at a map of the school.
Oh,
and they were holding a virtual fire drill,
they're
looking
still
at
practicing to get out of the school.
because looking at a map is a lot easier, or it's the same thing as, I guess, actually walking the halls. I don't know. So
Our society's
just changed.
We might as well tap out.
Look, we
might as well tap out.
There's got to be an island that we can do this job remotely from, right? Where we can just live and not have to worry about the rest of this.
We might not have sports.
Well, that's fine. I can talk remotely about
sports. Yeah, and you know what? If we can catch up with this Belgian guy and get this genetic disorder, we're fine.
Absolutely. Then you never even
you
need
just need that grain. You just need that grain alcohol and some fruit. You have the same disorder.
Absolutely. Hey, John, let's look at something. Ron actually brought this up in the break, and Tony and Ron were talking about it this morning. Is it the 100th birthday or the 101st birthday for the NFL that we're celebrating this year?
This would be 101. We did 100. I don't even know, but it's not 100 because we celebrated that. So we're into the next 100.
But
so it's got to be 101.
Here's the one caveat, though. It was on this date in 1920 that the American Professional Football Alliance was founded. And then 2 years later, it became the.
Well, yeah, everybody screws that up. So is it the 100th anniversary they celebrated versus the 100th birthday?
So it was last year the 100th anniversary, and today's the 100th birthday?
Yeah, that would be correct.
How does that even work?
And then in 2 years, we get to celebrate 100 again because that was the official day it became the NFL.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, anything to merchandise. That's what I said about the Washington football team. Hold off on the name so you can double merchandise.
Okay. Unbelievable. This is crazy that they'll continue to just market that. I guess so. Now, I am curious, for those of you who may not have seen this, and you should be following John at JF McMullen, your latest piece in Philly Voice has to do with something that started locally but has now picked up with the departure of Nigel Bradham. So if you could explain to maybe people who aren't familiar with what happened and then kind of talk about the story itself.
Yeah, well, Nigel said he's in New Orleans now with the Saints, and he said that was the first team he had ever came to that was a winner before he got there. And obviously, people in Philadelphia got very upset by that. With Nigel, they won a Super Bowl championship, Super Bowl 52, 3 straight playoff appearances. But I said, I mean, people are ignoring the Chip Kelly era. This was not a well-regarded organization when Chip Kelly left. There was sort of that hole in the donut, as I explained it, from the Andy Reid era to the Doug Peterson era. It wasn't only that, look, Chip had some success. He won 10 games. He made playoffs. It wasn't that they were a horrible, horrible team, but they were looked at as almost a laughing stock at the end because of what Jeffrey Lurie did. And Chip Kelly won the power coup. He put Howie Roseman on the other side of the building, wasn't allowed to be involved in personnel. Then he went back on that and fired Chip Kelly and did the 180 and brought Howie Roseman back. It was a you-know-what show at that particular time. And that's when Nigel came in. He came in 2016, same year as Doug Peterson. And I'll also remind you guys that the Eagles didn't want Doug Peterson, not originally. They wanted Adam Gase, number one. They wanted Ben McAdoo, number two.
Unbelievable.
Some people would say they even wanted Tom Coughlin before they got around to calling Andy Reid and saying, what the heck should we do? And Andy told them to hire Doug Peterson. And all of a sudden you have this revisionist history like you didn't have that hiccup. And that hiccup existed, and that's what Nigel Bradham came into. And they weren't very good in 2016, and then they took off. And I'll remind you, I'll go back. I don't want to, Mike Lombardi's taken a lot of heat, but those quotes when they hired Doug Peterson basically said he was the least prepared guy ever to be a head coach in the NFL. And that was an embarrassment for him. But that kind of tells you what people outside the city, outside the organization thought about the Eagles in 2016. And that's what Nigel was talking about. He loves the Eagles. He loves the organization. But he feels that he was one of the ones, and he was with that free agency class with Rodney McLeod, but more so, same time, Doug Peterson, Jim Schwartz. Those are the guys that came in and built this team into a winner. That's what he was saying.
John, it's a tighter segment today, so I've got about 90 seconds or so. Can you just explain where we're at with the process of securing a bubble for the playoffs in the NFL?
Well, I think it's easy. I think they should do it. Certainly when they get down to the Final Four, the championship games, I don't think it makes any sense to do anything but have a bubble if you're lucky enough to get to that point, unless you don't need it. We could all turn. I mean, everything could be hunky-dory. We don't know what's going to happen as far as the virus, but if they're still concerned, and by the way, baseball should be in this category as well once they get down to a reasonable number of teams. Why not have a bubble? It just makes too much sense.
Awesome, John. All right, appreciate it, and we'll catch up. It looks like Miles Sanders is okay, right?
Yeah, he's fine.
Okay.
Obviously, he's not. He's probably not going to practice until week 1. The goal is week 1.
That's
so
fine with me. Keep him on ice. Bubble wrap him until week 1.
He's in a bubble. He's in a bubble.
Here we go. Perfect. John, have a great weekend. We'll chat again on Monday. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thanks, guys.
You got it. At JF McMullen, our NFL insider, courtesy of Jacob Media. We wrap the hour next here on the Second Level.
Wake up